Hello everyone. In this video, we are building an MCP server for our little business application. The application is transportation management system. And in this project, I've created Cloud custom agents. There's a lot of agents here. It's already like a mini company, and there's like a command here where the agents can use. I'll be building some skills here. I still don't know how to properly use skills, so yeah, I'll be creating that soon. So the one that I instructed the CEO of this company is to create the MCP server. So let's see what the CEO will tell us. So the verdict, build now, narrowly scoped, money reason, near zero marginal cost, wraps the already complete load module, API test, blah, 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 blah. MCP MVP cut, one server, one bounded context, da 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 da, service load, get load, update, load status, booked, blah 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 blah. Tenant safety, the server is bound to one tenant ID via server side. I don't know what that is. Definition of done, .NET build, green for the new project, MCP inspector for Claude code, list all three tools with working schemas. I don't know what that is. So let's just see what it builds and let's test what it can produce to us. So while waiting for it, I think I saw an MCP for beginners by Microsoft. Okay, let's open that up. So we'll be building this MCP, or we'll be learning this MCP for beginners in a week because we have to, so that we can survive. We can have something to eat. We can have skills that will lead us to be able to not get fired in our job. Um, how do we why is this not loading? Can I play some jazz music? Play some jazz music. Play up some jazz music while we're building this jazz music. Jazz music free. I don't know if it'll be captured by my headset because my headset has noise cancellation. Uh, MCP for beginners. Why is it not loading? MCP for beginners. Model Context Protocol MCP for beginners. Oh man, it's so noisy to have some music. Get clone, blah blah blah. Model Context Protocol. Learn MCP with hands-on code examples in C Sharp, Java. Overview of model. Welcome to the journey. Official documentation and specification. Blah, 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 blah. Learning objective. Understanding MCP fundamentals, you'll grasp what the model context protocol is. and why it's revolutionizing how AI application work together. Build your first MCP server. You'll create a working MCP server in your preferred programming language, starting with simple examples and working and growing your skills step by step. Essential background. Before you dive into MCP specifics, let's make sure you feel comfortable with some foundational concepts. Don't worry if you're not an expert in these areas. We'll explain everything you need to know as we go. Understanding protocols, the foundation. Think of protocol like the rules for a conversation. When you call a friend, you both know to say hello. When you answer, take turns speaking and say goodbye. And when you're done, computer programs need similar rules to communicate effectively. MCP is a protocol, a set of agreed upon rules that help AI models and applications have productive conversation with tools, services, just like how having conversation rules like makes human communication smoother. Having MCP makes AI application communication much more reliable and powerful. Client server relationships, how programs work together. You already use client server relationships every day. When you use a web browser, the client to visit a website, you're connecting to a web server that sends you the page content. The browser knows how to ask for information and the server knows how to respond. I'm really still not sure how this MCP is different from like open API protocol. Overview of MC Model Context Protocol and its significance in AI pipeline. All right, so let's read it. Okay, so introduction to Model Context Protocol, why it matters for scalable AI application. Introduction to Model Context Protocol MCP by April Gittins. Generative AI applications are a great step forward as they often let us the user interact with the app using natural language prompts. However, as more time and resources are invested in such apps, you want to make sure you can easily integrate functionalities and resources in such a way that it's easy to extend, that your app can cater to more than one model being used and handle various model intricacies. In short, building generative AI apps is easy to begin with, but as they grow and become more complex, you need to start defining an architecture and will likely need to rely on a standard to ensure your apps are built in a consistent way. This is where MCP comes in to organize things and provide a standard. What is the Model Context Protocol? The Model Context Protocol is an open standardization or open standardized interface that allows large language models to interact seamlessly with external tools, APIs, and data sources. It provides con- a consistent architecture to enhance AI model functionality before their training data, beyond their training data, enabling smarter, scalable, and more responsive AI system. Why standardization in AI matters? As generative AI application become more complex, it's essential to adopt standards and ensure scalability, extensibility, maintainability, and avoid vendor locked-in. MCP address these needs by unifying model tool integrations, reducing brittle one-offs custom solution, allowing multiple models from different vendors to coexist within one ecosystem. Note, while MCP bills itself as an open standard, there are no plans to standardize MCP through any existing standards bodies such as IEEE, IEEE, IETF W3C, ISO, or any other standards body. Learning objectives. By the end of this article, you'll be able to define Model Context Protocol and its use cases, understanding how MCP standardized model-to-tool communication, identify the core concepts or components of MCP architecture, explore real-world applications of MCP in enterprise and development contexts. By why the Model Context Protocol is a game changer. MCP solves fragmentation in AI interactions. Before MCP, integrating models with tools require custom code per tool mode pair, non-standard APIs for each vendor, frequent breaks due to updates, poor scalability with more tools. Benefits of MCP standardization. Interoperability. LLM works seamlessly with tools across different vendors. Consistency. Uniform behavior across standards and tools. Usability or reusability. Tools built once can be used across projects and systems. Accelerated development. Reduced dev time to using standardized plug and play interfaces. MCP, high-level MCP architecture overview. MCP follows a client-server model where MCP hosts run the AI models, MCP clients initiate requests, MCP servers serve context, tools, and capabilities. Key components, resources, static or dynamic data for models, prompts, predefined workflows for guided generation, tools, executable functions like search, calculations, sampling, agentic behavior via recursive interactions, deprecated in July 28, 2026, release candidate. Elicitation, server initiated request for user input. Routes, file system boundaries for server access control, deprecated in July 28, release candidate 2026. Protocol architecture. MCP uses two-layer architecture, data layer, JSON RPC 2.0 based communication with lifecycle management and primitives. Transport layer, STDIO local and streamable HTTP with SSE remote communication channels. How MCP servers work. MCP servers operate in the following way. Request flow. A request is initiated by an end user or software acting on their behalf. Number two, the MCP client sends the request to an MCP host, which manages the AI model runtime. Number three, the AI model receives the user prompt and may request access to external tools or data via one or more tool call. Number four, the MCP host, not the model directly, communicates with the appropriate MCP servers using the standardized protocol. Okay, so do we have to use MCP host? Do we have to create MCP host for this MCP server to work? We never know yet. So we'll let our AI company create our MCP server. That is what I requested them to do, so they have to deliver. Okay, so what is MCP host functionality? Tool registry maintains a catalog of available tools and their capabilities. Authentication verifies permissions for tool access. Request handler processes incoming tool requests from the model. Response formatter structures tools output in a format the model can understand. MCP server execution. The MCP host routes two calls to one or more MCP servers, each exposing specialized functions, example, search, calculations, database queries, and the MCP servers perform their respective operations and return results to the MCP host in a consistent format. The MCP host formats and relays these results to the AI model. Response completion. The AI model incorporates the two outputs into a final response. The MCP host sends this response back to the MCP client, which delivers it to the end user or calling software. How to build an MCP server with examples. MCP servers allow you to extend LLM capabilities by providing data and functionality. Ready to try it out? Here are example or a stack specific SDKs with examples of creating simple MCP servers with different language or stacks. So we're trying to open the C sharp one. Okay, C sharp skills. So this is the example from C sharp, and we'll be focused on the SRC, packages, blah 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 blah, adding about MCP, blah 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 blah. This is an MCP server. So we'll be comparing this to an actual example where of what we requested our agents here, where this is already a working application. So let's try what it can come up with, what it can cr create. Samples, everything server. Oh man, this is. I really I pity the newcomers of the industry, like with those fresh graduates, or maybe they'll be able to take all of this information. At least for me, it's like, oh man, this information is too much. Maybe because we came late to the game. Um, but yeah, we have to how to say that in English? We have to get ahead. We have to catch up. Like for example, here, this is what I'm still also trying to get my head wrap around what are these skills. The skills, they have version, they have references. So what's the difference between a skill and an instruction? Okay, I think let's try to read about it. Okay, so let's go Okay, in GitHub Copilot, what is the difference between an, an instruction and a skill? Provide analogy. Alright, so let's get into it. In GitHub Copilot, there are two different customization primitives that solve different problems. Instructions are always on background rules. They live in files like blah 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 and passively shape how Copilot behaves for every task in a repo. Okay. Coding standards, tone, conventions always use tabs, not spaces. Copilot just reads them and applies them silently without you ever invoking them. Skills are folder based on demand capability packages, skill.md plus optional scripts, templates, and reference docs. They're loaded only when relevant to a specific task, and they don't just tell Copilot how to behave. They give it a whole procedure and toolkit to actually execute a workflow. Verify a deployment, run a smoke test, generate a change log. Okay, okay. So it's like giving a step-by-step instruction, and you can also provide tools. So maybe you can create some scripts, PowerShell scripts to read Jira tasks or like scan through code so that it will not be AI that will read them. It will just be a PowerShell script to save token, maybe. And then what's that analogy? So Copilot as a new hire. Think of Copilot as a new hire at a restaurant kitchen. Instructions are the house rules pinned on the wall. Always wash hands before plating. Call out behind when moving. To no phones on the line. They apply consistently to everyone without everyone having to ask for them. Skills are recipe binders kept in a back cabinet, each one pulled out only when that specific dish is ordered. The binder doesn't just say cook well, it has the actual steps, the exact ingredients list, and sometimes even subtools, a specific mold, a torch needed to execute that one dish correctly. So instructions are ambient culture, how we do things here, while skills are dispatch playbooks. Here's exactly how to do this thing loaded only when we're doing it. One practical tell if you're tired of repeating the same standing preferences, write an instruction if you have a multiple step task that needs to bundle strip templates and should only kick in for a certain request, build a skill. Why do I have to create instructions in instructions folder when I can put them in the Copilot instructions MD? You actually don't have to. That will still works fine and is the simpler option. The GitHub instructions.md folder exists for a specific problem that a single file can't solve well. Scoping. Copilot instructions.md is one file and everything is in it applies to every request in the repo all the time. No matter if you're editing Python, a Word doc, or a YAML config. GitHub instructions.md files each carry an apply to formatter. Okay, front formatter field with a glob pattern. Copilot only pulls a given file's rules into context when you're actually working on a matching file. The file name must end with instructions.md and at the start of the file you create a front matter blah 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 blah. Okay. Okay, yeah, I remember now. Okay, that makes sense now. Sorry. So splitting things one blah 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 blah. Okay, I got it. I got it. Okay. So can instructions have parameters? No, that's the key distinction between instructions and prompt files, and it's a good way to sharpen the line between them further. Instruction files, blah 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 blah, are static, passive context. They're just markdown text, no blah 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 blah. No runtime prompts asking you to find something in. They get silently appended to whatever you're already asking Copilot. Every time they apply, the only dynamic part they have is to apply to a glob that decides whether the file loads, not parameters that get filled in within the content prompt. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay, okay. So, can agents call? Can agents use prompt files and supply it with parameters? Yes, agents and prompt files are meant to work together and parameters flow between them in a couple of ways. An agent can reference run a prompt file and the prompt file's own parameters still apply. Okay, blah 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 blah. Create a new input to get blah, 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 blah. Input method. Action. Okay, agents pass parameters to each other via handoffs. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, give a specific, simple usage and how a skill is invoked. Alright, so skill, everything. Commit messages, commit message, generate a conventional commit, blah 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 blah. Run dev, blah 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 blah. How it get invoked. Automatic discovery, commit my changes normal. You just type a normal request in Copilot chat. Copilot scans the description front matter of all skills. So you can also trigger it directly. Okay, you can trigger it directly. Okay. Um, okay. If I create a PowerShell script, how can a skill use it? Okay, bundle it inside the skill folder and tell the skills instructions to run it. Copilot doesn't auto-discover scripts. You point to them explicitly in skill.md and Copilot executes them via its terminal tool when it follows the procedure. All right, blah, 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 blah. Okay, PowerShell script, blah, 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 blah. Right, to ask when environment to check, stage, I shall report how invocation actually works when the skill triggers match automatically your prompt. Load skill renders instruction telling it to run the script. Uses its terminal tool to actually execute. Regular note. Run the smoke test script. Okay. Smoke test script. So you will just tell that it's here and you don't say that this is the smoke test script. You just say run the smoke test script here and it will just call that smoke test script. Okay, we'll have to try. We'll have to try it later. MCP. Okay, cool. Now has a MCP and we're going to check our usage. Okay, we're still good. Hmm. Why we don't have cost here anymore? We used to have a cost. Exit. Okay, so we'll start a new chat. We're going to ask, I used Fable 5 to ask I used Fable 5 as a model in one of my custom agents. I used Fable 5 as one of my previous custom agents. Then when I run it, it's July 2026. I got 2% usage of Fable. I got some charges like 0.013 USD something. But now when I check the usage again. There is no charges for, and it's back to 0.0000 USD. Why? How? Where did the 0.13 something they go? That's an odd thing to see, and I don't have any full certain answer since it depends on exactly which usage dashboard you're looking at. But here's what likely going on. Most probable explanation, it's a provisional estimate, not a final charge. Usage cost numbers you see right after a request often show a local or provisional estimate computed from token counts. That estimate can later be recalculated and reconciled against the actual billing record, which can make $0.13 figure shrink, disappear, or shift, sometimes down to zero. Or okay, that's a good thing. Let's see the actual billing here. Do, 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 do. Settings. Where can I see the apps billing? Yeah, I don't have any usage. Fable 2%. Charges. Yeah, I don't have any charges. Your limits are temporarily boosted. Your weekly cloud code limit is 50% higher through July through August 19, and your coworker limit is 100% higher through August 5, which each promotion ends, limits return to your plan standard amounts. Okay. See, a lot of time, so let's read more about MCP, where we are at MCP or MCP. What I let did it. Advanced MCP scenarios with client-side LLM integration. Beyond the basic MCP architecture, there are advanced scenarios where both client and server contain LLMs, enabling more sophisticated interactions. And the following diagram client app could be an IDE with a number of MCP tools available for user by the LLM. Core concept. Okay, MCP core concepts, mastering the model context protocol for AI integration. The Model Context Protocol is a powerful, standardized framework that optimizes communication between large language models and external tools, applications, and data sources. This guide will walk you through the core concepts of MCP. You will learn about its client-server architecture, essential communication or essential components. Oh, it's done. Hold on, guys. It's done. So stdio C sharp MCP server, three tools, search wrapping existing via a required TMS tenant ID environment var, so no tool call can pick or override tenant. Verify with real .NET build live Docker compose plus MCP inspector runs. Correct MCP schema, blah 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 blah. Log 2 minutes. To use it, set TMS tenant ID and MCP.json to a real la 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 la. Then restart Cloud Code to pick up the server. Okay, okay, this one. So the tenant ID. Okay, so what's our tenant ID? Our tenant ID, our sample tenant ID is in. Hold on. Here, this is our tenant ID, and we'll put it on here. Do not commit. All right. Let's commit this one first. All right. Okay, and then let's put our tenant ID there. So what to do next? Let's try to read the meetings that was generated. Okay, create an MCP server exposing TMS capabilities to a client. The TMS MCP was empty before this session. Origin founder invoking CEO agent directly create an MCP server for this project. Process plan CEO agent execute MCP agent formal product owner scrum agent blah 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 blah. Okay, decision CEO agent build now scope to exactly what bounded context money reason blah 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 blah, blah. MCP verification real commands then restart cloud code to pick up server. Okay. Um, okay, so cloud. Oh, no. We have to docker compose down. Okay, and then docker compose up. Right? And then once that is up, we will go back there and then we're going to restart our server. Right? So Claude, it will look for that. Oops. MCP. I'll check the current state of MCP before delegating so the agent has accurate context. Okay. Okay, so let's see this in action. Okay, the /MCP command expects an argument naming the server. Okay. Okay. Server, but none was given. The delegation text is just the constraint boilerplate. There's already an MCP load server in place. Which bound context should the new MCP server expose? Um, fleet, fleet trucks or assigned drivers, pay invoice. Which bounded context should the new MCP servers expose? What? MC MCP. How to run this? Oh, man, build, done build. To use it to a real dev tenant, pick up. How do I use it, bro? What loads are booked? Okay, so let's try. How do I invoke it? Exit. Then Claude, MCP, like that. Hey, how do I use it? Oh yeah, it's here. Restart Claude, so it picks up the new MCP. Start /MCP should list TM's loads, and you'll see search. Okay. So exit Claude, MCP. It's burning tokens and it's just thinking, man, what is this doing, man? What the hell is this MCP thing? Is this useful or what? Is this just the way of burning tokens? Hey, it keeps on using tokens. Okay, so I've delegated this to MCP agent running in the background. It's scope 2. You update. What? What? I just want to use exit. What the hell is Okay, just exit. Okay, I don't understand. I don't understand. So maybe we can close this and then open again. so it was not run here. I'm supposed to run it manually. Okay. Okay, so because it's now registered, I can ask questions directly and then it will give me the response. It's now doing a curl request to the API. We're gonna ask for this info later. Give me the customer for for reference for reference Okay. How many loads were the delivery city is Dallas? Is this even using, oh, why is it, what is this? No, I checked earlier and the team zones isn't wired into the session. It doesn't show up. What I've been doing instead is calling the underlying oh man. Function to read queries but a few different. How can use you use how can you use the DMS loads correctly? Disable MCP server. Okay. 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 Okay, so it's now working. It's confirmed. It's working. We can. I don't know what these are. Okay, so let's see what the MCP server looks like. Let's open up a Visual Studio and then go to the loads. Okay, and then program. So you see Microsoft MCP. What is it using? Okay, search loads. Status, it search for the status. Client. API client. So this is the tool. Nakita ka? Nag-video, nag-record raw ako. Oh, oh, Apples lang nga. Okay, we got it. So there's a tool, and then the tool you calls a service, and that's just it. And this is registered to the MCP server. So this is like a description for the LLM to read. Call this when the user asks what load exists, wants to see the load board. Yeah, so when this gets registered, this context will be registered to the, I think, to the brain of the LLM. And so when you ask something from LLM, it will remember this instruction and then it will call this. It's pretty simple. I think that's it. Yeah, so that is the reason why it's different from the Open API protocol. Or is it a protocol? So this is MCP is really different from the Open API standard. And I think that's it. We have a little grasp of what is an MCP server and how to create it. We will try to create more and we'll investigate some the agent framework soon. And that's it for now, kids. See you and good night. Bye bye.